You're listening to BK Presents on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hello, everyone. My name is BK International Talent Scout. I'm bringing a brand new show to you called BK Presents. 30 minutes, non-stop, your favorite in gospel music. Studio sessions, going deep into interviews with your favorite artists, producers, and their engineers. You and your concert previews and concert reviews. Get it all on bkpresents.com. Hello, everybody. This is BK International Talent Scout coming to you live in our new studio at the front of the Columbia City Theater. We can look outside and see what's going on in our neighborhood. I have a very special guest today. We're going to be talking about her life coaching. We're going to be talking about her education. She has a master's degree from Madison University. She's an expert in human resource management. She's a small business owner, and she is a public servant. And one of the things she wants to talk about today is about getting out and voting, because we're in the voting season. So let's get to know who Dr. Gwendolyn Hosea-Mimms is. How are you today?
Oh, BK, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate having the opportunity to come in and talk with you today.
Okay, we're going to start out with your education. You have a PhD from Madison University. What is your PhD doctorate in?
It's in human resource management. And my master's is in whole systems design. So what that means is the human resource management is not like human resource, just a strategy to keep people's time and that kind of thing. When you're managing the actual person, you're actually managing the whole asset. So the PhD is
human resource management.
Resource management, and the master's is in whole systems design. And then I have a BA in liberal arts.
Okay.
And also a teaching certificate.
Okay.
From the University of Washington.
Let's talk about your small business. What's the name of your small business?
My small business is Quality Thinking by Design Business Solutions. And I started out just working as a life coach with individuals, but now I work with companies and organizations that are trying to have better outcomes and product distribution, family, all the things that go with having a real smooth in-house business so that everybody's working together to make everything work perfectly for the business.
Now, when you walked into our historic building, the Columbia City Theater, you were telling me that you came here in the 80s and you seen some plays, and This used to be your hangout spot.
Well, I owned some property right down the street called the Pink House. I started a restaurant in that house. It was called the Pink House. All those big apartments next door to the to the Washington Federal Bank.
Yes.
That used to be my property.
Oh.
And so we walked right up here, and all of Columbia City is all just a lot of fun. You know, it's everything's in walking distance, everything you want to. There was, we'd go to Lottie Mott's and have play games when she first started. I know it's probably very different now, but most of the restaurants weren't even here. But this was an old bar, and it had great entertainment in the back. It had live music or a play, or you could just come in and eat, that kind of thing.
And now you're here being interviewed, your exclusive one-on-one interview with BK International Talent Scout.
I know, and I'm very excited. You can tell I'm nervous.
It's okay. Just tell your story. That's what it's all about, you. And we also want to talk about you being a public servant.
I am a public servant. For the last about 45 years, I've worked in all kinds of programs in the state of Washington. unemployment, reemployment, dislocated workers, welfare to work mothers, any program that you can think of that is trying to help people who have AIDS and who are trying to get all the resources that they can find. So my knowledge of public service and being a public servant, because I was doing direct service, and when you're doing direct service, you're providing resources and you're actually talking to the person and following them as they progress, and you're giving them the resources they need to progress. So
can you give us one success story where you helped someone where they were in a tough spot, then they got back to work, got back on their feet because of your service?
Well, one story that stands out to me, because I worked with people who were also formerly incarcerated, and I worked in the prisons. I'd go in, I'd do some life coaching there and different things. But I had one particular young lady that got out of prison, and when she went into prison, her baby was 9 months old.
Wow.
And so she went into prison. She stayed in prison for 2.5 years. And when she got out of prison, I was coaching her also because, I wanted her to have a different start, and she was thinking about school and those kinds of things. But when she got out of prison, she went to the home that was keeping her baby, and that baby reached up for her, and she hadn't seen that baby since it was 9 months old.
Wow.
That encouraged her to finish school, to get a great job. She is now working. She has a great job. And this has been 3 or 4 years. This has been a while. But that baby reached for her like she had never been gone.
Wow, that's a great story. That's a reason to do what you do.
Mm-hmm. And I have another story. A man in Bellevue was living in the trees in back of some really nice homes. And every night he'd go and he'd dig through the garbage of this, because the people would, have their garbage, they throw things away. And he was digging in the garbage and he was getting food from there. So one of the people noticed him coming out in the night, getting food out of the garbage. So he started leaving a sandwich out there. And he did that every day for about a month. And then once he sat out there and waited for him to come. And when the guy came, he talked to him. He got him to one of the agencies that I was working with, which is over in Bellevue, work with dislocated workers, that kind of thing. And we got him to that agency. That agency, he was a veteran, and his feet were almost rotted off because he had been in Vietnam and his feet got really bad. And we got him to an agency. We got him to the hospital and got his feet taken care of, and we got him housed.
Nice.
He was so happy. He was like, I haven't had a door that I could close and call, home for 15 years.
Wow. That is a life-changing story, Dr. Gwendolyn. We love it. How does that make you feel right now?
It makes me feel great because I know and we named him Smiley because he had this great big smile on his face because he had that place to live, But it took us a long time because he had to first trust the guy with the sandwich, and he had to trust the guy with the Veterans Administration, take him to the doctor for his feet. Then it was about a 6 or 7 month process. It wasn't just overnight that we got him housed and he was happy. It took some time because he was in bad shape when we got him.
Oh, wow. That's a great story. Let's talk about some things. Let's talk about homelessness in Seattle, homelessness in King County, and homelessness in Renton, Washington. How can churches and community turn people's lives around to come out of houselessness or homelessness back into their feet?
Well, that's a great question, and some churches are doing it. My church, New Beginnings, in Kent, I live in Renton, but my church happens to be in Kent. We have the homeless shelter at night where we let the men come in, and they put out cots for them. So our men in our church, they stay, they cook the dinner, everything. They stay overnight. So the men come in, they put the cots down, and we have a huge church and we have a big gym. That's where they put them. And we also have a shelter for the women. We have a clothes closet. We have a feeding program that is a food bank.
Okay.
So that people can. So I think a lot of the churches are doing what they can, but I think we need to do more federally and state. The churches are doing what they can because they get the tithes, and we want them to do whatever they can do with our money.
What can the city do before we talk about state and federal? What can the city of Renton or the city of Seattle, what can they do to turn this homeless cycle around?
Well, I don't think we can do anything to completely just change it overnight, but I think we have to understand levels of homelessness.
Let's talk about it. What are the levels of homelessness?
Somebody that is just homeless because they lost their job a couple of months ago and they couldn't pay their rent, and they're homeless for the very first time, and they're living with friends, and they're
couch surfing.
They're couch surfing, but they are homeless because they don't have any place for their own. Now, then there's the person that's only been homeless a year or two. They're still able to, kind of understand what it is to have a door. But then there's that chronic homeless person that's been homeless for 5, 10, 15 years, living on the streets. When we put somebody like that in housing, because I've done it a lot. The last program I worked with was a program that worked with homeless. Sometimes they don't even know how to use the place. They don't know how to use the inside. They're still peeing in jars and, sleeping on the floor, even if they've got some furniture. Still not.
So they rather sleep on the floor than their bed.
Because it's harder to adjust. It's hard for them to adjust.
Because they so the homeless lifestyle became their lifestyle.
Okay. And I even rented to a person who was accustomed to being homeless, and he lived on the floor. I didn't realize that was going to be a thing because it was, but I don't want to get into that, but yeah, they don't, it's an adjustment to all of a sudden start putting things in drawers and stacking things in things and opening things and, having things to store things in. We're accustomed to that because, we don't know what it's like not to have a closet, or we don't know what it's like not to have some, a shelf to put something.
So how can community groups, churches, come alongside agencies to help them turn more lives around?
Well, I think it's just persistence and, just everybody looking at whatever the problems are. For example, in Renton, what I see right now, because I was just recently running for office, that city council position 1 in Renton, and my all my equipment isn't working right. My computer's not talking to my printer, and my printer's not talking to my cell phone, and things like that. So I was going to the library to print out all the things. Well, we have a lot of homeless that live right around that library. So every time I go to the library, I have to step over poop and, feces and pee and all the things. And then I didn't want to leave my truck there unlocked or anything because the homeless are just around there. I know I have a lot of body hand things, but the homeless were there. And so I would be very leery about leaving even my dogs in my truck because I think they would steal them. So when we're talking about what can we do, we have to address things like that too. All these homeless people gathering in people's doorways and doing very nasty things because that's their resource. That's the only place they've got to go and relieve themselves. when we look at that, we have to say, how can we help that business? When we're talking community pulling together, that those librarians, they don't need to be out there cleaning up poop every morning. When I go to this certain grocery store that closes, they have people sleeping in the out in the area there that's right in front of their doorway. People don't want
because it most likely has a cover from the rain.
Yes.
Okay.
So when it's something that has to be continuously tackled, and it can't be just always throwing money at it. It has to be like when I'm talking about poop on the side of the library. What can we do about that? That's a Band-Aid. Can we put porta potties over there? Can we and then keep them clean? Can we do more sweeps, not to just run people off, but to see if there is lawlessness going on. Is there drug dealing? Is there, something going on that can be addressed beside the fact that the person's just going to sleep there that night? Okay. Because we can't make homelessness criminal.
Right.
That's not a crime. But, the things that can come out of homelessness are very, scary and can be a crime.
Wow. Thank you for addressing those issues. Let's talk about food insecurities in our community. How can we overcome food insecurity in our communities?
Well, I think everybody right now has sticker shock when they go in the grocery store. But I think it's affecting seniors and people with children even more than just single people that are going in and buying their own groceries. You have kids and you have to feed a family, and I'm a person that used to buy hamburger meat for 99 cents a pound. So when you go in and it's $13 a pound, that's a sticker shock. And it's not something that people can just easily overcome, because their salary or their money that they're earning is whatever that is. So we have to figure out, a lot of seniors that I know include going to the food bank. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people with kids, they have to try to go to the food bank because they're not buying, they can buy certain things, and then they have to try to get subsidies of some kind. Food bank, a lot of Top Ramen, and a lot of, not eating as well as they could, not as healthy as they could, because they're trying to feed the kids, so it's a little cheaper to eat unhealthy.
Yeah. Now I can't talk about where I work because I do social work. I work with individuals coming out of homelessness. I do work for a program. We have a success story of getting 40 individuals housed. So I do know about it. I think one of the challenges in our communities is a lot of people aren't informed that they're like, if you're a senior, usually you can go to your senior center and eat breakfast.
It still costs them.
Well, like in Seattle, there are senior centers where the seniors can go eat and they don't have to pay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's churches that do feedings. My friend Anthony Tibbs, he does a feeding at Langston Hughes once a month. He's now, my auntie Lynn works for neighborhood. She worked on the food equity grant.
Uh-huh.
So Anthony Tibbs was able to get a food equity grant.
Mm-hmm.
So like they feed the homeless at Langston Hughes once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that he was able to, I turned him on to my auntie Lynn, and my auntie Lynn coached him to get the grant. Mm-hmm. So there's those kind of programs. A lot of Catholic churches, like where I work, they used to come out and bring a 5-course meal. Mm-hmm. Once a week. Mm-hmm. So there are places, like they say, if you're going hungry in Seattle, you're not doing it right, because there's a lot of places, but a lot of times people aren't informed.
And they can, and a lot of times people don't have adequate transportation,
right,
especially seniors.
right,
And when people start getting to a certain age, if they don't have access vans and things like that, then they're homebound for the most part.
right.
And so that's a thing. It's not. I mean, I think there's also some food vans that go around that have sandwiches that go.
Yes.
And I love all those programs.
Yeah, Union Gospel Mission, they go to a lot of homeless sites.
Mm-hmm. And just sit there with the food and the people come to them. And that's perfect.
Dr. Ray Hampton, he does that too downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So what's on the horizon for Dr. Gwendolyn Hosea-Mimms now?
Well, I am still an active life coach. I take a couple of people whenever somebody bounces off. I take one or two other people, and so I'm still going to be a life coach. But I'm having to really press right now because I want people to get out and vote. We have a lot of things happening in America right now, and people need to be able to have their voices heard. And the only way they're going to do that is if they get out and vote. And we can register people to vote at 16 years old.
Okay.
And then they don't vote until they're 18. But we can register them to vote at 16. And if they're 16 years old and they have things that they want to get off their mind, and they can talk to their representatives about it at 16, by the time they're 18 and they're through with school, now they're starting to, really be involved and participate. And we want them to participate at a level where they're saying, these are the things that I want for my life, and I need to be able to access these kinds of resources, rather than waiting until, everything just happens for them. And a lot of times people are not making any decisions. They're just allowing life to happen. And
life be lifing.
Life be lifing, but no, you can't be lifing. You got to help life. And so that it's what you are trying to accomplish and what's important.
Let me ask you a question. How can Renton come to city council and make comments and talk on the mic and sit down with your city council person, sit down with your state representative, whether it's the state senate or state representative? How can people start that healthy dialogue with people in civic leadership?
Well, the first thing you want to do is find out who's leader in your district, and they probably have an email address. Ask them for an interview. Ask them if you could sit down and talk with them. Most city council people and public servants are happy to talk to you because we want to know what's going on with you. The thing about not knowing what is going on with people start making assumptions, and then they start doing to people. So that you might have a great program, but you're doing it to the people. You haven't found out what the people themselves need. You're okay. Well, we know they need clothes. We know they need housing. We know they need food. We know, and it's slap those things on it. We got it made. Well, what about education? What about daycare? What about what if they have an elderly parent? What about food? So it's not about what we slap on people. It's what I need this in my school. I need my teachers are doing this, and nobody's doing that for my students. We need the feedback from every voice. We need it, because how else do you know?
Well, I think with young people, sometimes young people don't want to vote because they feel like no one cares about how they feel and what they're going through. Or I can vote, but is it really going to change my tomorrow?
And I have to say, absolutely yes, because, people died for them to be able to vote. People got their heads bashed in for them to be able to vote. I'm one of the people that got gassed in Seattle. I am that age.
Got gassed.
I am that age. I'm a baby boomer.
Oh, wow.
From Dr. Martin Luther King time. That's who I am. See, so we gave up a lot to be able to vote. And now for people to say, oh, nobody's ever done anything for me. Well, you got to do for yourself. Now it's about time. We got to make them strides. One more step. And then look around and see all the leaders that we have had. See, we've had so many leaders, and people also have to say to themselves, who is the next leader? Is it going to be my next door neighbor? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be that little kid down the street that I listened? I used to sit in Jimi Hendrix's basement and listen to him play his guitar. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be her? Who's the next leader? But you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared to vote. You got to be thinking about your community. First, think about what's going on inside your house, then outside your house, then your community, your school, your neighborhood, because all those things make a change, especially when you start taking care of the things that you should take care of in your own home.
Well, how can people get you to come talk to their family, their community center, and their church? And what are your key things that you love to talk about when you go to community?
When I'm talking to community, I like to talk to them about the importance of sticking together and forming forming some kind of organization that they can kind of speak in one voice. And if it's a small community, for example, if you're talking about a nursing home, for example, that's a community to me. And if all the people got together and started saying, well, we only have one meal a day, and it's really important for us to do this, and they're speaking in one voice, they can get more done. But everybody just trying to do one thing, that helps. But it really helps if you can pull together a team.
Oh, wow. So our time is up. We are going to, who you want to give a shout out to, and then we'll close this show and close the show, and we'll invite you back.
I want to give a shout out to, well, I want to give a shout out to BK and your new organization here, because what I understand, you just opened.
Oh no, we've been doing radio here we've been a radio station for a while. We just moved to the front area.
Oh,
we
okay.
were doing our podcasting in the back.
Well, I want to give a shout out to you because you're doing a great job in the community. This is what we need more of, and more just basic community people like myself to come forward and talk. I'm not going to endorse any candidates or anything.
Oh, that's okay.
We have our race going.
Okay, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming, Dr. Gwendolyn. I'm going to give a shout out to my producer, Daniel Bellis of Rainier Avenue Radio World. Guess what, everybody? We're going to see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seattle, for checking out the show with BK Presents on Rainier Avenue Radio. It's been our pleasure. But listen, we want to connect with you. Maybe you have some takeaways from the show that you would like to let us know about. You can do that in two ways. You can go on Twitter and follow us at BK Presents, or email us bkpresents@gmail.com. Once again, that's bkpresents@gmail.com. Until next time, we look forward to hearing from you again.